You think you're functioning on 5 hours of sleep. Your brain strongly disagrees. Like, strongly. That whole, "I'm fine, I just slept a little less" thing. Yeah, that's called the illusion of productivity. In reality, your brain is operating in what scientists compare to cognitive drunkenness. So basically, you're awake, but not really sharp. Slower thinking, worse decisions, less focus. You just don't notice it, which is the dangerous part. And here's the crazy thing. Sleep is not optional. It's not a nice to have. It's as essential as food and water. You spend about 1/3 of your life sleeping, which sounds like a waste of time, right? Until you realize what's actually happening in your sleep. Here's the thing. When you sleep, your brain doesn't shut down. It gets to work. It organizes memories, strengthens what you learned, cleans out toxins that build up during the day, regulates your mood, your focus, even your health. So yeah, your brain is basically running a full night shift while you're there doing absolutely nothing. And yet, we treat sleep like it's negotiable. Just one more episode, and suddenly it's 3 a.m. Just one more scroll, and your brain is on dopamine overload. Or my personal favorite, tonight I'm gonna be better. I'll read before bed. Beautiful intention. But before you notice, you're reading Hunger Games at 11 p.m. You go to sleep, and suddenly, congratulations, you've been selected as tribute. Now you're wide awake, heart racing, mentally preparing for survival. Or maybe you open a heavy reflective book, something deep, full of ideas, maybe a little existential crisis on the side. And your brain goes, "Oh, we're thinking now? Great, let's overanalyze our entire life real quick." Now it's midnight, and you're questioning your career choices. Your brain was ready to sleep, and you gave it a TED Talk. These were just a few examples of how we're messing our sleep up. Because as you will see, sleep is a complex, active process that affects literally everything. Your brain, your mood, your memory, your immune system, your energy. And when you don't get enough of it, or the quality is bad, everything else starts to fall apart. So in this video, we're going to break down what actually happens in your brain when you sleep, why sleep is so powerful and so underestimated, and how you can improve it with 7 simple, practical ways you can start trying today. And hey, if you're into content like this, subscribe for weekly videos that help you understand your brain, and maybe stop sabotaging it at 11 p.m. All right, let's go. What is sleep? Okay, you might think that's a dumb question, but give me a second and I'll prove you wrong. Sleep is not just turning off your brain and hoping for the best. It's more like a coordinated operation inside your brain. Multiple systems working together to control when you fall asleep, how deep you go, and how you wake up. Let's break it down without making this feel like a biology class. Deep in your brain, there's a tiny structure called the hypothalamus, which is basically your internal control center for sleep and wake. Inside it, there's something called the SCN. Don't worry about the name. It works like your biological clock. It tracks light from your eyes and tells your body, "Hey, it's daytime, stay awake." Or, "Okay, it's dark, time to shut things down." That's your circadian rhythm, aka your internal schedule. Don't worry, we'll get there. Now, when it's time to sleep, another part of your brain, the brainstem, helps switch modes. It releases calming signals, like a chemical called GABA, that basically tell your brain, "All right, let's lower the noise." It also does something very important during dreams. It relaxes your muscles, so you don't physically act out whatever chaos is happening in your dreams. Which is great, because no one needs to be running from imaginary problems at 3 a.m. in real life. What about sleepwalking, you might ask? Well, in some cases, like sleepwalking, that muscle shutdown doesn't work exactly as it should. But here's the key part. Sleepwalking usually happens during deep sleep, not during dreaming, which happens in REM sleep. So the brain is partially asleep, but the body is still able to move, which is why some people can sit up, walk around, or even do simple things, all while not being consciously aware of it. It's not that they're acting out dreams, it's more like the brain is in a kind of in-between state, half offline, half operational. So yeah, your brain has safety systems, but sometimes there are bugs in it. But moving on. Then we have the thalamus. Think of it as a sensory gatekeeper. During sleep, it blocks out most of the external world, so you're not waking up every time there's a small noise. But during REM sleep, when you dream, it actually becomes active again, sending images, sounds, and random scenarios to your brain. That's why dreams feel so real, and sometimes so weird. Now, remember that sleepy feeling at night? That's partly thanks to the pineal gland, which releases melatonin when it gets dark. Melatonin is basically your brain saying, lights off, we're done here. During the day, another system keeps you alert, and a chemical called adenosine builds up over time, making you feel more and more tired. And yes, caffeine works by blocking that, so you feel less tired than you actually are. Sneaky, right? And finally, there's the amygdala, the part of your brain that processes emotions. During REM sleep, it becomes more active, which explains why dreams can feel so intense, dramatic, or completely unhinged. So yeah, sleep is not passive. It's your brain regulating your rhythm, shutting down noise, processing information, creating dreams, and resetting your system for the next day, all at the same time, while you're just there, unconscious, doing absolutely nothing. Efficient, right? Okay, pause. I've been throwing around things like REM sleep and deep sleep like we're all neuroscientists here. My bad. Let's break it down. So, what you need to understand first is sleep doesn't happen all at once. It happens in stages. Think of it like levels your brain goes through every night. And no, you don't just fall asleep and stay there. You actually cycle through these stages multiple times. There are two main types of sleep, non-REM and REM sleep. Non-REM has 3 stages, and each one goes a little deeper. Stage 1 is the light sleep, the almost asleep phase. This is the transition. You're drifting off, not fully asleep yet. Your heartbeat and breathing slow down. Your muscles relax, sometimes with little twitches. And yes, that falling feeling that makes you jump? Yeah, welcome to stage 1. This part is short. It lasts just a few minutes. Stage 2 is where the real sleep starts. Now your body starts taking this seriously. Heart rate slows even more, your body temperature drops. Your brain activity slows down, but with small bursts of electrical activity. This is where you spend most of your night, by the way. So if sleep had a default mode, this would be it. Stage 3 is the deep sleep, your recovery mode. This is the heavy stuff. Your heart rate and breathing hit their lowest levels. Your brain waves slow way down. This is when your body repairs itself. Your immune system works. Your energy gets restored. And if someone wakes you up here, you're confused, slow, and honestly, a little offended. How dare them? Also important, this stage happens more in the first half of the night. So yeah, cutting sleep short hits this part hard. Now you're into REM sleep, which is when dream mode is unlocked. Now things get interesting. REM usually starts about 90 minutes after you fall asleep. Your brain becomes super active, almost like you're awake. Your eyes move rapidly. That's where the name comes from, by the way. Get it? Rapid eye movement. Your breathing gets irregular, and your heart rate goes up again. This is where most dreams happen. Also, your muscles get temporarily paralyzed. Remember when we talked about chemicals like GABA? And cognitively, this stage is huge, because this is when your memory gets consolidated, emotions get processed, learning gets reinforced. So yeah, your brain is basically editing your life while you sleep. And here's the key part. You don't go through this once. You cycle through all these stages every 90 minutes approximately, multiple times a night. And as the night goes on, deep sleep decreases, REM sleep gets longer. So if you sleep less, you're cutting off important parts of the process. Now, what controls all of this? There are 2 main systems. 1. Your circadian rhythm, aka your internal clock. This is your 24-hour biological schedule. It controls things like when you feel sleepy, your body temperature, and hormone release. Light plays a huge role here. When it gets dark, your brain releases melatonin, which basically says, all right, time to sleep. When there's light, your brain goes, wake up, sunshine, we have things to do. 2. Sleep pressure, aka why you get tired. This is your brain keeping track of how long you've been awake. The longer you stay awake, the stronger the pressure to sleep. That's driven by chemicals like adenosine building up in your brain. So your sleep is basically controlled by your internal clock and how exhausted your brain is, working together. So basically, sleep is a structured, highly coordinated process that your brain depends on to function. And when you interrupt it, your brain notices. Okay, so we talked about how you fall asleep, what your brain does to make that happen, and how things like light can mess with your sleep. But what actually happens inside your brain during that time? Sleep is basically your brain's maintenance window. It's when it reorganizes, repairs, and resets itself for the next day. During the day, you collect information. Conversations, things you learned, random thoughts, things you think you'll remember. Spoiler, you won't. Not without sleep. During sleep, your brain goes through all of that and decides what to keep, what to delete, and how to organize it. It's the memory consolidation happening. It transfers important stuff from short-term memory into long-term storage and connects new information with things you already know. And this isn't just theory. Some pretty big ideas actually came from this process. The structure of benzene? It came to Friedrich Kekulé in a dream. He imagined a snake biting its own tail, which led him to the ring structure we know today. The periodic table? Dmitri Mendeleev reportedly saw the arrangement of elements in a dream after struggling with it for a long time. Even in music, Paul McCartney woke up with the melody of Yesterday basically ready in his head. What's happening here is not magic. Your brain is still working, just in a different mode. It's making connections you wouldn't normally make when you're awake and focused. So yeah, sometimes the solution you're looking for isn't more effort. It's sleep. At the same time, something else is happening. Throughout the day, your brain builds up metabolic waste. One example is something called beta amyloid, which in excess is linked to neurodegenerative diseases. During sleep, especially deep sleep, your brain activates something called the glymphatic system. Think of it as a cleaning crew that flushes out toxins, clears waste, and resets the environment for your neurons. And this system works way more efficiently when you're asleep. So when you skip sleep, you're basically skipping brain cleaning day. And while all of that is happening, your brain is also adapting, because sleep is also essential for neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to change and adapt. This is when your brain strengthens useful connections, weakens unnecessary ones, and builds new pathways. Which is why practicing something and sleeping leads to improvement. But practicing something without sleeping can easily lead to frustration. Your brain needs sleep to lock in progress. And then there's the emotional side of things. Did you ever notice how everything feels more dramatic when you're sleep deprived? Yeah, not a coincidence. Sleep helps your prefrontal cortex, the rational part of your brain, regulate the amygdala, the emotional, reactive part. When you don't sleep, the amygdala becomes more reactive, and the prefrontal cortex loses control. Translation: you're more stressed, more impulsive, and way more likely to overreact to things that normally wouldn't be a big deal. So, maybe not your best version. So bringing it together, while you're sleeping, your brain is organizing your memories, cleaning itself, rewiring for learning, and stabilizing your emotions, all at the same time. And at this point, you might be thinking, okay, but why do I need sleep for all of this? Why can't my brain just do it during the day? Fair question. The short answer? Because your brain is busy, being used. Duh. Just kidding. Well, kinda. Because during the day, your brain is in performance mode, processing information, making decisions, reacting, focusing. It's like everything is running at full speed. Trying to organize memories or clean up in that state would be like trying to clean your house while throwing a party at the same time. Technically possible? Maybe. Efficient? Not even close. So sleep is when your brain switches to maintenance mode. Less external input, more coordinated activity, more energy available for internal processes. Some of these processes actually depend on very specific brain patterns that only happen during sleep. So no, it's not that your brain is lazy during the day. It's just busy doing a different job. So, what happens when you don't sleep properly? In a few words, you become a slightly chaotic version of yourself. But let's break it down. First, your focus drops. And not just a little. Sleep deprivation directly affects your attention, your memory, your ability to stay on task. So if you feel like you just can't focus lately, yeah, sleep might be the real problem. Or maybe one of them. We actually have a full video breaking down focus, by the way. It's showing in the cards right now. Then comes impulsivity. Because remember that balance between your prefrontal cortex and your amygdala? Yeah, without sleep, that balance is gone. So you react faster, think less, and make decisions you'll probably question later. And speaking of decisions, your decision-making gets worse. Even simple choices start to feel harder. Your brain has less energy, less clarity, so everything becomes slower, foggier, and honestly, more annoying than it should be. And then there's food. When you don't sleep, your body starts craving sugar, ultra-processed food, and quick energy, because your brain is tired and it's looking for the fastest possible fix. So suddenly, everything sounds like a good idea at 11 p.m. If we're being honest here, lack of sleep doesn't just make you tired. It makes you less focused, more impulsive, worse at decisions, and more likely to make questionable life choices. Basically, you become a slightly worse version of yourself. What? It's true. And here's our problem. Modern life is not helping. Because getting good sleep nowadays, not that easy. We're constantly exposed to stimuli, screens, notifications, endless content. Your brain never really gets a break. Then there's blue light. Your brain uses light as a signal to regulate sleep, remember? And screens basically tell your brain, hey, it's still daytime, stay awake, let's do something. Which messes with melatonin, the hormone that helps you fall asleep. Add chronic stress to the mix. Your brain stays in alert mode, even when your body is exhausted. And over time, this all messes with your circadian rhythm we talked about earlier. So now your body doesn't even know when it's supposed to sleep anymore. So yeah, it's not just you. The environment you're in is literally working against your sleep. All right, so sleep is clearly a big deal. And our modern life is not actually helping either. But knowing that doesn't magically fix your sleep, right? So let's talk about what actually helps. No extreme routines. No wake up at 5 a.m. and become a monk energy. Just things that actually work. 7 practical tips to improve your sleep. Before we get into this, if you've enjoyed the video so far, hit like. It really helps the channel and gets this content to more people who probably need better sleep too. All right, let's get into it. 1. Get natural light in the morning. This is one of the most underrated ones. Your brain uses light to understand what time it is. So when you get sunlight early in the day, you're basically telling your brain, hey, we're starting the day now. That helps regulate your circadian rhythm, making it easier to feel awake during the day and sleepy at night. Simple, but powerful. 2. Reduce screens at night, or at least make them less intense. At night, your brain is looking for one signal, darkness. But screens do the opposite. They emit blue light, keep your brain stimulated, and delay melatonin release. So your brain thinks, still daytime, let's stay awake. You don't need to disappear from society at 9 p.m., but maybe avoid social media, lower brightness, avoid intense content, and give your brain a chance to slow down. 3. Slow your brain down before bed. You can't go from high stimulation to deep sleep instantly. Your brain needs a transition. So instead of scrolling, watching intense stuff, or doing mentally heavy tasks, try a shutdown routine, like light reading, no Hunger Games please, calm music, stretching, or literally doing nothing for a few minutes. Think of it as telling your brain, we're done for today. 4. Keep a consistent schedule. Your brain loves patterns. Going to sleep and waking up at the same time every day makes everything easier. Because now your body knows that, okay, this is when we sleep. This is when we wake up. and it starts working with you instead of against you. 5. Be careful with caffeine. Caffeine doesn't just go away after a few hours. It has something called a half-life, which basically means that even hours later, part of it is still active in your system. So that afternoon coffee, yeah, it might still be affecting your sleep at night. But you don't need to quit caffeine. Just don't treat it like water after 6 p.m. 6. Fix your environment. Your sleep environment matters more than you think. Your brain sleeps better when the room is dark, quiet, and slightly cool. Also, bed should be meant only for sleep, not phone scrolling, work, or full Netflix sessions. Did you hear me? Train your brain to associate your bed with only one thing. 7. Move your body. There it is, again. But it actually works. What can I do? When your body is physically tired, your brain has an easier time shutting down. Exercise helps to regulate your mood, reduce stress, and improve sleep quality. Just don't do an intense workout right before bed. Your brain will be like, sleep? No, we're energized now. Let's run a marathon. So, bringing it all together, none of this is complicated, but it does require consistency. Because sleep isn't fixed by one good night. It's built over time. Quick recap, because your brain likes summaries. I know it. If you want better sleep, get natural light in the morning. Reduce screens and stimulation at night. Create a wind-down routine. Keep a consistent schedule. Be mindful with caffeine. Fix your sleep environment, and move your body regularly. Take care of your sleep, and your brain takes care of the rest. So in conclusion, sleep is not a waste of time. It's an investment. You don't need to hack your productivity. You need to sleep better. Because everything we talked about, focus, mood, decisions, energy, it all starts there. And the good news? You don't need a complete life overhaul. Small changes, done consistently, create real impact. So try it. Test these habits. Adjust what works for you. And then come back and tell me if it worked. Now tell me in the comments, which one of these changes are you actually going to try tonight? I'm really curious. All right, that's enough wisdom for one day. Go touch some grass, hydrate, be a functional human. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!